friend of mine wrote a Facebook post today that I just glanced at because I ain't been really going all through Facebook that much. Facebook friend of mine, she said, this dummy in a bike ran into her son's car and really jacked it up on his bicycle and beat out about $2,000 worth of repairs to fix it up. And of course, the kid that has the bike doesn't have any insurance. That's the punchline there. But I hate to. This is misfortune for my friend. So I don't even. I'm kind of embarrassed I even thought of it like this. But I was just thinking, like, if people didn't have to pay for health insurance, they could afford other kinds of insurance that you need, because there's all kind of insurance. There's life insurance, there's auto insurance, a home insurance, you know. If you're a great singer, you can insure your voice. If you're a dancer, you can insure your legs. Seriously, you can insure your legs. What's that famous insurance company? Is it Lloyd's of London? You can insure anything. The insurance industry is not going to get devastated if you had health care, Medicare for all. But people say, well, they'll raise our taxes. We don't want to raise our taxes. Fool, you paying hella taxes. It's not... The money that's in the U.S. Treasury now, they could take care of people who have, the whole healthcare needs, but they have to be an empire, so they can't afford to take that amount of money away from, building their empires. Not that they can't afford it. You can do anything good that you will to do. That's what it means to be a Khalifa of Allah. It means you can do anything that you will to do, because Allah, huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. He has power to do all things. And his power lives in you, so you can do all things, anything. That means that as a polity, if we had the will, we could cover everybody. We could give Medicare for all, health insurance, without raising people's taxes, because it's about priority. The U.S. has like hundreds of bases all over the world. I don't know the exact number, but I'm just saying that the human being. Sorry about that. This is Bronx, folks. It's live up here like it is everywhere. Everywhere. One thing about New York, everywhere in New York is live. But you have the power to do that which you will. So don't tell me you can't. This country couldn't have Medicare for all or some manner of single-payer health insurance, and people's taxes wouldn't go up maybe half as much as their insurance premiums. But that's not what I really got on here to talk about. It's getting closer to time for me to get back to Ghana. And so I am not going to put any more Facebook posts up. I'm kind of like going to retire from that. I tried to do what I could do to bring up issues and cause people to reflect a little deeper than we are conditioned to reflect. We tend to get fed information. I mean, television. There are television programs. They're called programs for a reason. So, of course, we're being programmed. So, the average person has to go an extra length to see things deeper. Like Jane Elliott talks about, every white person is this white woman, an older white woman who does amazing talks about how racist white women are. She makes Farrakhan sound like Martin Luther King, the way she talks about white people, okay? But she just says every white person is if you were educated in the United States, you're a racist. Unless a miracle happened, or something happened that you woke up and took an extra step outside of what you were taught as a white person in America. That's what it means when you say America is systemically racist or systematically. In other words, it's in your system. And people like Tucker Carlson can deny all day that America's a racist country. But that's because he's like a fish that's in the water. Does a fish know that he's in water? You know? Not until he bites the wrong hook. Okay? America's a racist country because it was founded as a European settler state. It's very simple as that. It doesn't mean that people in America are bad people or haters. America is not a racist country in this sense. Most people are not racist. If they're raised with love and raised with dignity, and their parents do a lot to expand their field of knowledge, the average typical person is not racist. I mean, even in the deepest South in Mississippi, a white person raised in Mississippi can be raised with the level of love in his family that he doesn't feel hatred for anybody. But that's different from being racist, or what racism is. New York, baby. Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. That's what people saying that's leaving the city. But New York is never going to, it's always going to come back. New York is going to take a hit, but it's always going to come back. You know, it's always going to come back. There's going to be some trying times, but New York has got a big spirit, man. It went through a real trying period during the American Civil War, again in the 1880s. I guess you could say all through the beginning of the 20th century, because all of these immigrants from Europe was coming here. They was kicked to the curb. And then, a major crime era in the 20s. Even the president of the United States, Warren G. Harding, was the biggest crook in the country. You talk about Donald Trump being the worst president of all in Americans' history. Like, forget about it, you know. But anyway, yeah, the United States New York's been through trials and tribulations, again in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. But it always comes back, because it always gets new spirit. It always gets new energy. So New York's going to come back. So I'm not worried about that. But I right now am taking the next step and going to Ghana. I'm going to try to do some major studying there, or going to do some major studying there, and some major meditation, inshallah. And I'm going to do more videos and less Facebook posts. I just kind of think Facebook tends to bring out the worst in people, and I don't like it myself. I don't like what it brings out of me. I don't like what I see in people on Facebook. If I judged America by Facebook, I would really think America's like a really jacked up place. Or Twitter, right? If I judged America by Facebook or Twitter, I'd be like, damn, America's like a totally jacked up place, man. But actually, the Twitterverse and the Facebook land, alhamdulillah, does not reflect the entirety of America. America's much more than that. And you know why I can appreciate America? Because I have my own nation, the African nation. See, when you have your own nation and you understand what it is to have pride in your nation, you don't have to resent another nation, even if you don't bow to their protocols. So I don't have to feel any resentment toward America. Neither do I stand for their anthems or bow to their dictates. But I would I would never, I would never burn the U.S. flag any more than I would stand for the U.S. flag. Because even though I don't consider it my flag, I respect it. Because when you have your own nation, you respect every nation, even adversarial nations. So African Americans are, I don't know, conflicted when it comes to it, to America. African Americans have imprinted in us, in our psyche, that America is a dangerous place for us, or it's more difficult to be us in America than it is to be a white, so-called white person. I can't agree with that. I certainly cannot agree with that. To me, I always say, I hit the celestial lottery. I hit the celestial lottery by being born an African, black. I hit the celestial lottery. That's like the coolest race to be a part of. Everybody plays our music. Everybody try to dress like us. Everybody try to talk like us. We come up with a lingo, they start saying the lingo. Everybody has our swag and our style. Basketball is popular all over the world, mostly because of us. We got the best music and we're the most fun of all the races. I'll take myself out, I'll say they. African, to be like, to tell you what I'm meaning. Black people are the most fun race with the best music, and I hit the celestial lottery being born black. Therefore, I cannot recognize white privilege. I just don't identify with the construct polemically. I don't think white people are privileged. I think I have the privilege of being black. So I just turned it around. You see? So if I'm going to say that I hit the celestial lottery being black, and I'm so glad and I thank Allah every day, because I could have been born some other race, but he chose, or my soul agreed to come down into this one. And it's the most fun of all the races. They got the best music and they the best dancers, and man, who wouldn't want to be black? They try to convince people that being black wasn't what the thing was, it's being white. But that's because white folks felt inferior. So they try to flip it. Now it's assumed that white folks are superior. They've managed to imprint that construct in our heads. So we have a construct that we call it white privilege, based on the axiom that it is easier to be white in America than it is to be black. That sounds like a very subjective kind of thing to me. It's not hard being black. It's not hard being black. I'm just gonna say, I don't find it hard being black. I love being black. It's not my problem. See, when you say it's more difficult being black in America than it is being white, you're denouncing black, you're diminishing black in that way. Because you're saying the problem is you being black. The problem is not you being black. The problem is the system that can't accommodate you, but they got us so intimidated that we are paralyzed and aren't able to create our own system, our own economy, our own cultural interaction, our own school network. There's people that's tried, but we're so dried up economically that we haven't been able to support them. Like Sister Clara Muhammad's school system is all across the country. I mean, in every country that there's followers of Imam W.D. Muhammad and or the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you have a Sister Clara Muhammad school system. We have schools in Oakland, like the African Children's Advanced Learning Center and Umoja House. But we couldn't feed them financially because our focus has always been politically, trying to get politically empowered. That paradigm worked for the Irish here in New York. But that's not the paradigm for us. We don't realize the extent to which we do dominate politically because of, beginning in the late 60s, really asserting ourselves politically. So we talk about voting and all this stuff. Listen, when you have power is when you can finance the person you want to win. Not when you vote for the person you want to win. When you can finance the person, when your community can finance and support the candidate that you want. That's when you'll have real power. And that comes with economic power. You don't hear the Jews talking about we want a Jewish president. And as a matter of fact, most of the people who was chanting Bernie down and saying, there's no way this guy's going to win. There's no way he's going to win. America's never going to vote for a Jew, especially a Jew socialist. I'm like, well, aren't you Jewish? Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, you're Jewish, and you don't think Bernie's going to get elected president in the United States after they've elected a black person for 2 terms. But that's because the Jewish people don't really have this pressing emotional need to have this symbol for them as president of the United States, because they're connected to their history. Even if they're not even genetically really related to the real original people of Bilad Hashem, they are connected spiritually to that history. So they're Jewish people, and they have a connection that goes back 5,000 years by their reckoning. So they don't need a president of the United States. Now, we wouldn't either if we were really connected to our roots, which goes further back than 5,000 years. But the ruling oligarchy who controls education and information and dispenses disinformation has done a really effective job of disconnecting African American people mentally and emotionally from our roots, which made us strong, which was Africa. So that's what I got to say about that. But I want African people to thrive in every country we live in. Doesn't matter if it's the United States or Brazil or anywhere in West Africa, in Ghana, my home, Nigeria, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal and Gambia, Mali, Niger, Chad, Morocco, Al Maghreb, all of the countries in Africa, Azania, South Africa. I want to see Africans do good in all places where we live, in all over in Great Britain, in France. We got African descent people in Colombia. We don't even talk about that. We got people of African descent. Costa Rica has a large African black population. A lot of them having originated in like Jamaica and came there to do work projects. So a lot of Africans, a lot of black people in Costa Rica, a lot of black people in Nicaragua, a lot of black people, of course, in Panama, a lot of black, and of course, Belize is a black country. I'm just for the rising up of all black people all over the world. I don't care if you're from Birmingham, Alabama, or Birmingham, England. If you're black, you're all that, and you caught the celestial lottery. So I don't recognize white privilege. That's how you get beyond being plagued by this problem, white privilege. Or like the young Ripper says, people talk about Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter to who? Sounds like you're trying to convince other people that Black Lives Matter. Yeah, we got these signs. We got these white people now that have been conscripted into the movement. They got signs, Black Lives Matter, and chanting these chants, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. Yeah, right, man. Okay, that's fine. Black Lives Matter. But it sounds to me like you want Black lives to matter to them. And this is what the young Ripper, who is a YouTube personality, was saying. It's like, it doesn't matter who else Black Lives Matter to if it matters to you. So Black lives have got to matter to us. We don't care if white people think Black lives matter, because white people know Black lives matter. Where would they get their music from? Where would they get their culture from? White folks know Black Lives Matter. We're the ones that don't know that our lives matter. That's why black people kill more black people than anybody else. And that's what's got to stop, So if you want Black Lives to Matter, if you want other people to recognize that Black Lives matter, and they look at you and they see that Black lives don't seem to matter to you, how do we expect that Black lives are gonna matter to them? So that's my problem with it. Plus, I know that Black lives matter and I support that, but I cannot support BLM because I do not support Marxism, and I do not support the dissolution of the nuclear family, or the male-oriented family. It's not necessarily a Western construct. The men are the center of the family. It doesn't matter which culture you're in. That's what the man's job is, because the woman can give birth without me, but she needs me and everything that comes after that. So the man, for the society to be healthy and come back strong, the man needs to be the center of the family. A protector, a provider, a leader, and a teacher. That's what the man is supposed to be. So that's 180 degrees the other way of where the BLM philosophy or ideology is coming from. And so I can't support that. Now there's individual chapters of BLM in cities that aren't necessarily connected with the original founders. I understand that. So that's fine. But I'm just saying, we don't need to show anybody else that Black Lives Matter, because we need Black lives to matter to us. So I don't know, this planet is kind of in trouble. Not necessarily the planet Earth, but human life on the planet is in trouble. So these next 40 years between now and 2060, Africans got to do some things to shore things up. And one of the things that we have to do is reconstitute the family. We got two fundamental things that Africans have to do worldwide, and that includes African Americans and those on the continent. We have to reconstitute the family, and we have to create an economy, our economy, that if the dollar, if something happens to the dollar and it's not happening anymore, we can still live. We can still do trade goods and services between ourselves. That's the essential part of what I mean by creating an economy. So we need to do between now 2020 and 2060. Wow, we need to have those things implemented so we can take the next step at fully reconstituting the African nation and the full healing from the colonial experience. And for African Americans, the full and complete healing from the enslavement experience. We need to have that foundationally start setting that right now, because 2060 is going to be here before a lot of you will be here in 2060. And we need to have things in place. We need to have two things. We need to have the family reconstituted. That means the man back at the center of the family, being a provider, protector, a leader, and a teacher. In other words, a maintainer and protector for the family, as Quran says. We need to get back to that, and we need to create an economy. And that's those are two very, very long, those are lectures, and I'm not going to give them right now. I just came on here to say that I'm enjoying my last days in New York. I'm not saying exactly when I'm be getting out of here, but it's coming down to it. And just wanted to say that I do enjoy New York. It's the one city in America that I think that a musician like me can live in. An African-American musician like myself can live in, to be free the way I got to be free and have the kind of diversity that I like to see. But New York is on the decline right now. We need a new mayor, a better mayor, and a lot of things that's going to happen in New York. I think New York can come back, but right now I think it's a little bit in decline. And we're going to send out some prayer, some celestial prayer for New York. And I'll be getting back to Ghana and deal with my family over there. If any of you see this, I'm going to upload it. I'm going to post it on the Facebook. You want to contribute to New World Visions or the Sounds of New World Africa? This is my way of keeping myself going. So you can do that at Venmo, Venmo. It's the Venmo account. My email is sonwarudi@gmail.com. If you see this on Facebook or here on YouTube, send me yours. I'll be back soon. I'm going to take a little bit of time off as I'm getting myself ready to travel, and it's a lot to go through nowadays with the COVID test you have to take. But I'm going to get back to making regular videos, and I'll be making a lot of them from Ghana. If you enjoy them, it'll be a lot of music videos and a lot of New World Visions. So if you enjoy them and want to support us, that would be great. And just enjoy them anyway, because as Jimmy Dore says, nobody has an effing job. So enjoy the video. Let's see. We've gone 25 minutes. That's good enough. All right. Allahumma anta salam wa minka salam tabarakta wa ta'alayta ya dhal jalali wal ikram la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah lahul mulk wa lahul hamd wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir sami'na wa ata'na ghufranaka rabbina wa ilayka al-masir. Takbir. Allahu Akbar. Power, light, and grace.